I always do that. I'm a night rider. Every time that I go past midnight, I swear I get higher. Swear I gotta get higher now. I'm a night rider. Every time that I give what I got, I supply that fire. I supply that fire. What is going on, bookworms, and welcome back to another episode of Bookmarks with Bump. It is I, your host, Bump, Sean Cote, National Academy of Sports Medicine certified personal trainer, endurance runner, tradesman, jack of all trades, man. And we're here with a very special episode of Bookmarks with Bump, where typically we go over threads that focus on health and fitness and other things that I find interesting or hilarious or just plain off stupid. We have a race recap. Yes, one of the titles of I is an endurance runner, and last weekend I participated in the Mystic Half Marathon. We had the lead-up episode into that, and now we'll have the recap episode where I tell you the tale of the adventure. I mean, like I said, it was a mystical trip to Mystic after a 70-hour work week, which I didn't realize I had worked until I got my pay stub this week. And all in all, with all of the discoveries and everything that we'll get into later on in the episode, it just adds to the achievement or the accomplishment of signing up to do something that a small percentage of people would do just for the thrill of it, and preparing for weeks going into it. It's what we talked about last week, that goal and what fuels your fire, and just keeping yourself dedicated to something to keep yourself productive and happy and proud of yourself. I think that's something that we all need. Anyway, after work on Saturday, I went for a nice little warm-up run. I took a couple miles on the trail before I got home, got everything ready, and took a nice little trip down to the coastline of Connecticut, which when I look at Connecticut, I can always think of the people that I've heard for my 31 years just complain about how there's nothing in Connecticut. And my whole ride, all I could see is everything to do in Connecticut. You go down through the valleys where there's mountains on both sides. There's peaks on both sides. There's so much adventure hidden within the state if you just kind of open your eyes and seek it a little bit. And then you get down to the coastline, and it's kind of one of those things where you say, what don't we have? I mean, we've got it all here. And if you have an adventurous spirit or a creative mind, you could find a way to do anything here in this beautiful state. And what I did on Saturday was go down to Mystic. And the first things first, when you get there, if you're going to pick up your bib early on Saturday, like I did, what they set up there. And first and foremost, a huge shout out to the Hartford Marathon Foundation, because they always put on such spectacular events. They make it so worth it, and they remind you of what you're doing. The atmosphere when I got there on Saturday was so cool and excitable, and it eased me into the location. We'll get into that a little bit more later, but just having that experience when you first get there to pick up your bib, and then they send you on a little maze, so you don't just go in and get out. They had a station at Kelly's Pace in Old Mystic Village, which is a great running store if you're ever down there and shopping. And you register, you get your bib, and then you're directed to take a nice little maze, a nice little gallivant through the Old Mystic Village to pick up your t-shirt and pick up your pins to secure your bib to your attire. And that was cool for me, because, I mean, it's been probably 2 decades since I've gone down to Mystic and gone to the aquarium even, or been in Mystic Village. I believe there was a trip one year when I was in elementary school when my grandmother, my Mima, came up, and we went to Mystic Aquarium and went through the village. But other than that, I can't really remember the last time I was there. So I was able to soak in everything that's there. They have a luxury cinema. They have restaurants, and not, typical American restaurants. We have, yes, the Steak Loft, of course, but there were sushi houses and different places. there's a lot of culture down there in the old Mystic Village. So that was nice to walk around there and soak in all of the food, all of the boutique stores where local businesses have a storefront there, and it's kind of cool to see how the Hartford Marathon Foundation finds a way to set themselves up in these different cities or state or towns around the state, and kind of give a little boost to the local economy along the way, helping out, basically helping out the community everywhere they have a race. Because hey, listen, we're gonna shut your roads down for a couple hours. It's gonna be difficult to get around, but everybody's gonna move up a couple tax brackets here. Okay, is that a fair deal? Okay. So you go through, and I picked up my bib, and the excitement started to settle in. Just that kind of atmosphere, and being able to take in my environment, that was very nice and settling, because sometimes you get to a race and it's the first time you ever ran that race, and there's always a factor that goes into it. And that's why I'm taking this approach that I am this year with racing, with trying to make them destination races instead of just doing the same old races that I do every year. Um, I think it's nice to just give myself a little break while I'm still earning it. It's something you gotta do. You gotta give spice to your life and fun and adventure, and you can seek that every day, or you can make a goal to get there. And I feel like I earned this trip not just through hard work with my trade, but also hard work in the gym, hard work on the trails, and just keeping myself moving. Um, Nonetheless, I move on from the old Mystic Village, and I head over to my hotel. My hotel was different than my parents' hotel, and my parents actually didn't make the trip. My father, he got injured at work last week, and he's been out of work. He's been on light duty, and we're still trying to find out what exactly is going on in his knee. He heard a loud snapping or popping sound, and that's never really a good sign. And so they weren't able to make it down, but my brother did. My brother, who best friend in the world, uh, does not run. There's a 5K that he ran with me like 6 years ago. He ended up throwing up at the end of it, but he still did it just to participate and be there with me. This time he came as a spectator, and he had a great time, but he was behind me a little bit. We didn't travel together. So I I go from the Mystic Village, and I just want to offload all of my things and kind of figure out what the next step is. So I head over to the hotel. And there are a ton of hotels right there on that strip, on not on Coogan Boulevard, but the street that's right there when you get off the highway. Easy location. There's got to be 5 or 6 hotels. I was going to book a rather expensive hotel, and then when I went to book, the room had gotten taken from underneath me. I took the next best option, which was $160 at the Mystic River front, the Mystic River Inn and Suites, and I was. This was the part of the trip that this was the only this was the only downside of the trip. I mean, I drove past the hotel because, first of all, the intersections where the hotel was, it was like right next to another one, right next to a Dunkin' Donuts, right next to a gas station. I didn't know where exactly it was telling me to turn. And part of the reason why I didn't know is because I saw the sign for the hotel, and when I looked over, I saw an abandoned looking building. So I drove right past it. Um, I turned around because what I pulled into was like a Marriott, and that's not where I reserved my room, and there was no other hotel hiding behind it, like I was hoping there was. So I'd go back into the parking lot that has the abandoned building. I'd do a lap around this abandoned looking building and realize there's lights on in there. There's more than just a few cars here. There were some tractor trailers parked in the parking lot, and I thought maybe it was a place for these guys to get some shut eye. That was the only thing that made sense to me until I said, well, I guess I'll try to go inside. Maybe it was I'm thinking like GTA. Maybe it was a biker's clubhouse that they took over. I don't know what I was thinking, but I definitely wasn't thinking that this was a hotel. And I go inside and it was. I mean, I walk in and there's these two cascading staircases on either side of you. And there's a lobby right at the front. And this place is very dimly lit. Lit. I'm talking a lamp. There's this nice chandelier that's in between the two staircases. But before I notice anything visually, the first thing I notice is the smell of like mold, like water, like that's just been sitting for so so damn long. And there I, I couldn't see the mold, but I had an idea when I approached the front desk. I can't believe I did it. Like, I can't believe I followed through with this. But everywhere else that I was looking was booked until I got my room. Like, I decided to get a room too late. I didn't know if I was gonna go down until the week of, and nonetheless, I make my I'm there. Okay, I'm there. I have a reservation, and so I start walking to the front desk, and the first thing I notice is a sign that says "Sorry, pool closed." Okay, so I was told there was gonna be a pool here, and my plan is that I get there and just chill in the pool for a little bit until my brother shows up. But there was no pool to chill in. Um, I I check in. I made the reservation. I check in. I commit to at least checking out the room. Maybe the room's different. And I make my walk down this very long, very dimly lit hallway that just seemed to go on forever and ever and ever. I never thought this hallway was going to end. I thought I was stuck. I thought I was trapped in this hotel from hell that's ran by, like, I get to the front desk and the guy stands up. I don't see anybody when I first walk in. The door goes ding dong. I start walking and finally somebody stands up and it's just this large man wearing a t-shirt that he that I don't even know would fit me properly. And I'm talking 300 pounds on this LO buddy. And I thought that he roped me into some sort of trick. Um, I finally find my room and I hit the card to the door and it opens. And I walk into the room and I'm surprised, very surprised by a nice hardwood floor. Um, and everything looked great in the room. Besides the sheets that seemed like they were bought from Kaoud Oriental Rug, but I said, okay, maybe this is manageable. And I start to unload my stuff. I take my prepared meal out of my lunchbox. I put that in the microwave, and it just goes for about 30 seconds, and then just all of a sudden I hear zzz, the microwave shuts off. And I unplug it and plug it back in, and it shuts off. And it's just dead. So the microwave dies on me, first thing. But at least the fridge works, is what I said to myself, and it did. The fridge survived, okay? The fridge was able to survive this whole ordeal. And then I think to myself, what else is going on here? And I look in the bathroom, and the sink, the molding to the sink is like all cracked, and it's not really held together. Um, I start inspecting the room a little bit more. I take the iron out. I heat the iron up. I start to inspect the room. I find crumbs on the floor. Everything just felt dusty, like the room hadn't been occupied in a long, long time. Uh, and I take the iron over the bed sheets, and I wait a couple seconds, and I lift the bed sheets up, and I don't see anything jumping around. So at least it doesn't have bed bugs. I can say this about the Mystic River Inn and Suites in Mystic, Connecticut. But I turn on the TV, I try to go to ESPN. There's the channels laid out for you, and there's no. It's not ESPN. It turns to like the home network. I look out the window, and what probably one day used to be a beautiful courtyard, like I saw in the pictures, it was a dead vast, uh, just field of grass, and I could see right through to the other hotel rooms, and they could see right through to me. And I mean, what the hell did I do to myself here? So I laid down. I found ESPN, and I just started looking through Kayak and booking for about 30 minutes, and then my brother called me. And he said he was 10 minutes away, so I went outside, and I just waited for him. And he arrived, and we went for a nice drive around the course, because I hadn't been there, obviously, and I hadn't ran that race before, so I wanted to see what the course had to offer. And we took the whole nice ride around around the course, and I mean, that just fueled my excitement more because I saw all the sights that I wanted to see. And but there was a trick in there, and we'll get to it. But we have dinner, and then I lay down and I fall asleep. And that's the best thing about the Mystic River and in Suites is that there's so much around that you can do that you don't have to spend a lot of time in the hotel room. I think the whole amount of time I was in that room was 9 hours, and that was 9 hours too many. But I appreciate my brother for coming out, distracting me from spending $500 more. But that's enough about the Mystic River and in Suites or whatever the hell they want to call that place. I'm sure there won't be an opportunity to stay there much longer. That place is going downhill fast. I saw no renovations taking place. I think they're just waiting until lightning strikes it or something. God will have to eradicate that building from the earth because it is doing no good for nature. Let's get a plot of land back there. Let's build some trees there, but it's not what we came here. We came here for the race. It's race day. I wake up. I have my breakfast. I had a nice banana, a protein bar, and some overnight oats about 2.5 hours before the race. Just a light, nice, easy breakfast, and I then started to roll out and put on some chill music and just kind of vibed out. And my brother ended up waking up, and he was like my biggest hype man. My brother was very pumped for me. He knew what I put into it, and without even asking, he showed me nothing but support and enthusiasm. And this is just a huge shout out to Seth for being my rock there. Usually my parents are there, and they don't really say much to me through period, but they're there for me, and that's a big boost. He used to piss my parents off a lot, but since they're here to be proud for me, they are, and that's a huge display of love that I love to receive. Anyway, my brother was there for me, hyping me up, telling me I'm ready, and by the time we got on our way. We were just not even a half mile away from the start of the race, so we walked down there. I tied up my shoes. I went for a little warm up jog, and I met back up with him, and he just grabbed me and told me to be happy, and he gave me a boost and he gave me a hug, and it was time to lock in. And we're at the starting line, and the energy at a starting line of a big race like this, especially a race like that the Hartford Marathon Foundation puts on. I mean, what they do, they are able to market a race so well, and we had 1,087 competitors that day lined up, and that's so damn cool. When you're out there with that many people, because you get the opportunity to pace yourself with somebody that you can tell is pacing well. you have the opportunity to take souls, which is just passing people in the moments of despair. And, and there's just there's there's so much that goes into the thrill of running a race like this, that at this magnitude with this many people. There's so much more adrenaline. There's so much more to see, even, and it's fun. You have fun out there, and that is what a lot of us did. The race starts, and we just start on this stretch of heaven. I mean, you run right down into downtown Mystic. And at this time, I was just kind of gliding. The race starts off, and you're surrounded by people that are pacing the same as you, and you have goal pacers with the Hartford Marathon Foundation, which is a really cool thing they do for these races. Is they'll put an overall time on somebody who's been running and doing this forever, and they send them right out. So we set out, yeah, we set out right off of Coogan Boulevard, and we went right down past the Coogan Farm and the Mystic Seaport Museum, and you start going past the Mystic Seaport stores, and you're running all around the Mystic River. You get down the first few miles. So here's the real deal. Like, the first 4 to 5 miles is probably the most beautiful race I've ever ran. And that's what I was hoping for with this race. It was just amazing. Uh, the sights I was able to take in on this race were so incredible. And it's everything that I pictured signing up for this race. And that's what's motivating me moving forward and signing up for my next race. But we get down and we go all around the Mystic River. And at this point, I was pacing incredibly well, gliding, just kind of taking my water when the water's there, not really spilling too much, getting my hydration in, and just moving the way I needed to. The first 5 miles, I paced right around 7:30. I started my first mile a little too hot at a race like this at 7:15, but the pace felt so manageable that I was happy with it. And I just backed off a little bit and got to 7:25 and kind of stayed there for the first 5 miles. I definitely ran my fastest 5 mile race time, uh, ran in like 34 minutes, which was something new. Or, I'm sorry, not 34, 37 minutes, which was something that I haven't done before in the Torrington 5 mile road race, but or any 5 mile race. But I'm looking at these paces on splits and what I was able to do. I'm super pumped about that. And so the first 5 miles, like I was saying, was the most beautiful race that I had probably ever done. I mean, yeah. I mean, you go over these drawbridges, you go over a couple bridges. I talked about my love for bridges, but you go over a couple bridges, and you get to these drawbridges in downtown Mystic, and it's just such a great environment, and it was filled. Like, that first 5 mile section is just filled with spectators, just like the people of Mystic going, hey, let's go root for these people. And they're picking up cowbells and ringing all these cowbells. Think I needed a little bit more cowbell, but it's just such a great environment. And I think that's something that the Boston Marathon is specifically known for. Like, the city of Boston lights up for the marathon, and they put on for every single person out there. And when you're running and you're hearing those cheers and that sound, it does give you fuel. Like, imagine how the Olympic runners feel when the whole stadium is screaming. I mean, it's just an adrenaline boost. You couldn't really uh, ask for better. And so once you get around the Mystic River, it turns into this is where the race really began, especially for a lot of people. Um, the first half of the race is beautiful. Um, and then the last half of the race, they send you up into the forest. They send you up into the nature preserves. You're not actually running in the woods, but the road surrounding it. And this is where my preparation came out. The next half of the race is just rolling hills in secluded areas. So you kind of lose that spectator push, and you also lose like a consistent pace, because running up a hill, to me and to a lot of runners, is much easier than going down a hill. Going downhill can sometimes slow you down in these types of events. You're trying to preserve the knees, and a lot of times it's hard to resist heel striking when you're running down a hill, which slows you down tremendously, and also it provides a ton more impact. There are ways to glide hills, but when you're in the deep throes of a race like this, it is difficult to do that for a lot of people. Um, and this is where it came to bite me in the ass, really. The race was ran, the race was completed, and that I'm proud of. But these hills really took a toll on me. Um, Majority of what I run when I'm running long miles is on a trail, and it's pretty much flat. And I didn't really run a lot of hills preparing for this race. And to be quite frank with you, I didn't really know if there would be a ton of hills. Um, there were hills, there was an out and back that was a mile that actually went straight up a hill and then straight down a hill. But the whole way up the hill, you're going up a hill and down a hill and up a hill and down a hill. And the whole way down the hill, the same exact thing. I went uphill both ways on that one. Um, that slows you down, and then you go down about a quarter mile to a half mile downhill stretch, and then it's all uphill again. Um, you come out of that dirt road onto another main street, and that's pretty much flat once you get there. But once you get there, you're kind of dogged out. That was around mile 9. I was dogged out, at least. Um, I I petered on there for the next 3 miles. Um, that ninth mile, I kind of hit a wind and got back to, an 8-minute pace. But after that, it was all eight, late eights, close to 9. Um, I ran that portion tremendously slow, and the hills brought me to my wall prematurely. Um, my lactate threshold. I mean, this was the first time ever in a race I can recall cramping. Uh, and it was particularly odd because I had hydrated at every hydration station. I had hydrated well the day before and well that morning. Um, However, this was the first race I didn't have to stop and uh, urinate in. That was a race of this magnitude. Um, I don't know. I didn't know at the time what had been going on, but I ran through the cramps. I had a cramp all the way through my right hamstring, down my right calf. I had a cramp in my left quadricep there in the 11th mile, and I just had to keep pushing through. And I did. I did. I pushed through, and I finished in an hour and 48 minutes and 53 seconds with a 8:19 average pace throughout the race. Out of 1,067 people, I finished 180th, and out of the Clydesdale division, I finished 4th. I was the 4th horseman across the finish line. Um, in a beautiful morning. I mean, it was chilly that morning. That's why I didn't understand the cramping. I didn't think I was dehydrating as quickly as I was, and it was. Listen, I gotta give. I gotta tip my hat to everybody who prepared properly, and everybody who finished, and everybody who did well. It was a tough race. It was probably. I mean, listen, the the Sorry. The race was a tough race. It was about as tough as the Husky Ruck and Run 10K, but because of the distance, it just made it that much tougher. The Mystic 10K as a whole. So this is ran as a 10K and a half marathon. The half marathon continues on past the 10K's finish line. I mean, that 10K, it finishes at the perfect time because you end on some hills right there for the 10K. You end after finishing a hill where then it plateaus, and then you go on to another hill. And that's what the half marathon had to push through. Um, I need to just start running in neighborhoods instead of the trail and just keep my keep it together. Keep keep the training for road races on the road. Because you're gonna run into those hills. There's no way to better train for running up a hill than running up a hill and adding it to the regiment. Um, First place in the Clydesdale division, finished in like what my like dream time would be, an hour and 28 minutes and 20 seconds. That's a qualifying time if you double that for the Boston Marathon. And that would be a race time where I say, okay, I'm ready to train for a marathon now. I went into this with a goal of an hour and 40 minutes, and I was 8 minutes short. And I was 3 minutes past my last half marathon that I ran, which was a considerable amount of time ago. And what I've learned this week, it was a considerable amount of weight ago. I stepped on the scale on Monday and I was 215 pounds. And I know I've talked about diet on here before, and I had just been getting away with things for too long. I look in the mirror, I like what I see in the mirror, and I don't really weigh myself often. Um, and I need to be better with that because, yes, I'm not fat, but I am definitely not in marathon race shape. I'm in jacked guy who looks good shape. And there's a difference. And this is my dream. And I was selling myself short on my dream. And that's the fact of it. You could say it's being hard on myself. And yeah, I more than often I am. I have a creative's brain. I'm my own worst critic. But at the same point, I'm realistic with myself. And what I have to say is that I'm good, but I can be better. So I'm working towards losing 6 to 12 pounds before June 30th. June 30th, I begin my next half marathon journey. I will be doing a 10-week training schedule before running in the Surftown half marathon. Uh, that'll be interstate. I'm going to Rhode Island, Westerly, Rhode Island, baby. The Hartford Marathon Foundation puts on this race every year, and this will be the year I attend in it. It is based right there on Squam Beach. I mean, you're running all along the coastline of Rhode Island, and that sounds like a fun time to me. Gonna go down there, spend a couple days down there, and be able to soak everything in. Once the summer has come and gone, so will the rush of the amount of overtime I've been working. So I'm excited to go. I'm excited to go into that race, and I'm excited to just really not sell myself short anymore. I want, I will, I can, I should. So I'm going to. And I am right now. I've already taken steps. I'm back in the gym now 5 days a week lifting weights, which people will say, well, you're carrying too much muscle. Isn't that the goal to not? Well, there are different modalities to train, and I will move to endurance training. And really, what it is what I eat, man. And I wake up every single night and I eat. And I can't do that. I'm going to wake up every single night. I have been for the last week now, waking up every single night and drinking a bottle of water when I wake up. And that'll definitely stop me from eating, and it has so far. And I have to just stick to that because I stay within where I'm supposed to be every single day. And then I wake up in the middle of the night and I ruin it. And it's a bad habit. It's not a good thing to do. And why should you listen to me when I'm giving you health advice when I'm doing something that's unhealthy? So I'm holding myself accountable there. I want everybody in the comments right now to just crap on me. Um, just say a bunch of nasty crap in the comments so I could look at that before I go on a run every day. Um, Taking this week off from running, I've been riding the bike intensely every day. Um, Taking the week off from running because I absolutely destroyed my feet. So after the race was done, and first I was pissed with myself, you know, and then after the high comes down, you look at how you did and how you compared to everybody else. And I mean, I'm still in the top 200 out of 1,000 people. So I mean, that's not bad. And then when I look at the fact that I worked a 70 and a half hour work week, I weigh 215 pounds. I was the fourth person to finish the race who was 200 pounds and over. Um, I'm proud of myself. Proud of myself for doing it, for committing to it, to following through with it. And I'm proud of myself for immediately getting back on my horse to do it again. But the race is over. I take my shoes off. That's the first thing I wanted to do because I felt like pain in my feet after I finished the race. Like once I stopped running, my big toes just felt like awful. And I take off my shoes and reveal two purple toenails. I had banged a hematoma underneath both of my big toes in the course of the race, and that's something that I've been dealing with ever since. So I've spent less time, less high impact. I've taken the week off from running, just been riding the bike. I went and got new shoes. Those shoes are definitely too small to run a race in. I hadn't experienced that through any of my training, and I think a lot of that is due to more labored movement um, throughout the course of the race. The downhills probably played an effect. Um, there could have been a lot of factors, but my toes are shot, man. Um, I went and got a pedicure on Monday. But before I did that, we finished the race. I take my shoes off. I have the post race meal. I hang out with everybody, congratulate a bunch of people. My brother was just so hyped to see me run across the finish line. And he surprised me at one point at mile 6. He was there and he had his camera out doing paparazzi, which was a cool story because he was in the Mystic Village, like kind of just wandering around. Like, what do I do now for the next hour and a half? And he ran into this older couple who asked him what he was here, if he was here for the race or actually he held onto my backpack for me, and my backpack had my Husky Ruck and Run division winner hat attached to it. And so he was gallivanting that around, and somebody had asked him if he ran in that race, and he said, "No, my brother did. He's running in the half marathon right now." He said, "Oh, our daughter is running in the half marathon. We're gonna surprise her at mile 6." And he says, "How are you gonna get there?" She said, "It's right behind the aquarium here. We're just gonna walk over there." So we went over, or him and the older couple went over, and we had that interaction in the race. And it was just so great that he was there because when he saw my toes, he started dying laughing. And I got a kick out of it. Like everything was funny at that point. Everything was a relief. Everything was funny. I spent some time on the foam roller, and he took off. It was time for him to go for a nice bike ride because the weather ended up just being beautiful. When the race started, it was about 60 degrees, a little chilly, and at the end of the day, in the middle of the day there, because you finish the race at 9:30 or 8:30. The whole event is over by 11. I was back at my hotel and showered and checked out on time at 11. And he took off to go for a motorcycle ride on a beautiful day. And I took off to go to the beach. I needed to do some soul searching. Um, like I said, for the first day there, I took it kind of hard on myself because I knew that I had failed to prepare leading up to the schedule. I ran every mile on the schedule. I did the schedule to a T, but I myself wasn't prepared because of what I had done before the schedule came up, you know? And it's not like I'm not running, it's not like I'm not lifting weights. It's literally the fork. Our nutrition, our diet is so important. And that showed that was a huge wake up call for me. Like we all have our rock bottoms in addiction, but that was my rock bottom in weight. Um, and eating, not weight even, but eating. The way I eat when I eat, that's what's going to change. And it needs to. And like this is an important thing for people to hear because you need to be able to have these conversations with yourself where you're realistic. And you need to be able to put yourself in a moment where you can see the effect of your bad habits. And that's exactly what I did to myself. My bad habits got in the way of my dream last Sunday. Ask me when that'll happen again. I want to say never, but I can't make any promises. Life is life and anything can happen. So, went over the beach. I did my soul searching. I took my shoes off and I walked around. I took in the sights. And I went to this beach in Stonington, Dubois Beach. I tried to get onto this little island I found on the map because this is something I like to do on the coastline. Is just drop a pin and go look at the place and see what it looks like and see if there's a place where I could sit on a nice little private beach somewhere. And I ended up finding this beach, Dubois Beach, which was actually a historical site. Where on August 10th, 1814, the Majesty's ship Ramillies, the Dirty Redcoats, they were approaching the coastline of Stonington, which was a shipping port at the time. They planned to burn down the city. These dirty redcoats were finna burn down Stonington, one of the nicest coastal towns in Connecticut, if I may say. But they didn't. They failed. The noble people of Stonington stood up for their land and protected it from the tea tax in 1814. So I tip my hat to them and I commend them. And if I never went to search my soul, I never would have found that fact. And that was kind of what I needed to wrap up that day. I head back home and got right back to reality. Clanging and banging at work the next day. And my coworkers were pumped up for me. They all reminded me I did a good job. And that's just it. You fit right back into life. But you take notes. You take notes of your failures. You take notes of your achievements, your accomplishments. As you've heard the story of the race, you've heard me down on myself and you've heard me proud of myself. Because that's what we have to do every day with everything in life. There's always something to be down on. There's also always something to be proud on. And if you're not looking at the things that if you're only focusing on what you're proud of, that's great. Good for you. But sometimes when you fail, you need to take the notes from it. What's it going to do for you moving forward? And how much do you care about it? This was a test race for me. Like I said last week, this was a race for me to see what I could do in this capacity and see what I'm going to do moving forward. And moving forward, I have my next race planned and I know what I need to do. And I've been actively working to fix my eating habits, not my eating of food. Like I don't eat anything unhealthy. And when I wake up in the middle of the night, it's not like my cabinets are stocked with sugary snacks or crap. I'm eating 2 to 4 protein and peanut butter burritos a night. And as healthy of a snack that might be, not when they're 400 calories and you're eating an ungodly amount of them on a day-to-day basis that'll throw you right out of your deficit or maintenance. And here I am, the fastest 215-pound man alive, or at least the fourth. I'm one of the 4 horsemen. So I'll hang my hat on that. And I'll end this episode on that. I appreciate y'all sitting in for the tale, the good luck wishes, the bad luck wishes, everything in between. Please leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment, tell me I'm a fatty. We're on 5 platforms, and you'll find that out if you're following me on social media, on Twitter, at Bump of TTS, Instagram, TCGXBump, what else? Snapchat, Shondis, where the numbers are true to roof, and now on TikTok at bookmarkswbump. Send me an email to bookmarkswbump@gmail.com with any thread suggestions. And next week, we're right back to the threads. As always, it's all love, and God bless. Every time that I go up past midnight, I swear I get higher. Swear to God I get higher now. I'm a night rider. Every time that I give what I got, I supply that fire. I supply that fire, man. I'm a night rider. Every time that I go up past midnight, I swear I get higher. Swear to God I get higher now. I'm a night rider. Every time that I go up past midnight, I swear I get higher. Swear to God I get higher, man.